good evening. I'm Joy Doyle, Director of Special Education for Lindbergh Schools. I've got with me tonight our Dr. Jill Lawson, who's the Executive Director for Assessment and Student Services for Lindbergh. We have Beth Johnston, who's the Director of Communications, and two special guests this evening. We're going to begin the evening with Shannon Benedek. Shannon is the Program and Communications Manager for our Special Education Foundation. She's going to share a little bit of information about that, and then we'll move into the full presentation from LenEll Kelley, who's here with Developing Minds Therapy Services. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. As Joy said, I'm Shannon Benedek. I'm with the Special Education Foundation. I handle all of the applications that we receive and all of our communications. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit of information tonight about our programs. If you're not aware, we're trying to get the word out to more families so that people know what resources we have. And then I'll share specifically a little bit of data from the 23-24 school year on how we have specifically helped Lindbergh. So you can go to the next slide. And basically, countywide, we have served over 8,000 students and total funding of over $210,000. That is countywide across all the partner districts, including the SSD schools. Next slide. Basically, the mission of the Special Education Foundation is to assist students with disabilities in St. Louis County in ways that are not supported where tax dollars stop. So where tax dollars stop or won't pay for things, that's where the foundation steps in. And our vision is to really help, and be an indispensable partner with the special school district. And again, our main mission is to assist students that need our services the most. Next slide. These just give you an overview of the programs, and I will go into specifics with these very briefly. If you have any questions about our programs, you can reach out to me directly. My email is shannon@sef-stl.org, and I could put that in the chat when we're finished here. And our website is sef-stl.org. So if you want to find information about these programs specifically and more information on applications, everything is on our website. Next slide. So I'll start with our adaptive equipment and audiology. We basically have a TILIS grant fund, and this helps for any kind of adaptive equipment or assistive technology that students need when they're aging out of SSD. So if there are families out there that have students that have a specific need for adaptive equipment, we are here to help with that technology. This equipment application is usually started with the educator themselves or whoever works with the student. They would apply with us, and if it's deemed a valid request, then we would contact the parent to fill out the parent information. And basically all of our equipment is funded based on the financial needs of the family as well as the equipment benefit. We also help students with audiology needs. This is funded separately, not under the TILIS grant. So audiology can be for any student that is aged 3 to 21. So if there's some specific hearing aids, hearing molds, things like that, any kind of technology devices that help for audiology, we're there also to assist. Next slide. We have a new program this year called the Autism Independence Project, and we just launched this summer. We actually have 2 students from Lindbergh that are actually participating in this project. And this is an after-school resource. We are in partnership with iSocial, which this is a benefit to students who are in the middle school and high school ages. And basically it is a 32 session program. It goes for 16 weeks. So it is for 2 evening sessions a week. And it is for students who are on the spectrum who are looking to increase their social skills and help for their independent learning. And basically it's more for students that are on the higher end, can communicate and operate via Zoom. And what they do is they will will evaluate the students and put them in a cohort of 6 students, kind of like-minded, like personalities, so that they can interact and learn from each other. And it has been life-changing for some of the students who have been through this program. And basically, again, it's an after-school program. It's not part of the school curriculum. And if a student is deemed a good fit for the program, then what we provide is some of that tuition assistance. It is a hefty price tag. It is $3,200 to participate. But like I said, we will, if we receive applications, we certainly have some funding to hand out to help with scholarships for that program. So you can contact us. The parents would apply directly for that. You can go to the next slide. Our classroom innovation grants. This by far is our largest program and by far reaches the most students. This is for our educators who are sometimes dipping into their own pockets to pay for their innovation, classroom projects. And so we have some grants available. Last year we had over 123 teachers apply through us for grants. The total ask was $130,000, but we had about $65,000 funded last year. We're busy right now with Giving Tuesday. We are raising money for this specific program so that we can provide more grants to teachers. We'd like to give more money than $65,000 out to 89 teachers. So if you're in the giving spirit, we have Giving Tuesday going on today. But this program by far reaches the most students with our classroom innovation grants. And we are going around and visiting the schools and seeing these projects in action and seeing how these positively impact the students. Okay, next slide. We also have a critical needs program. We understand that there's emergency situations that arise and we want to keep kids in school without obstacles that will inhibit their learning. So if there's some emergency situations that arrive, Adrienne Eaglin, who's with the Family and Community Engagement Department, she actually handles our applications. So these are, parents and social workers or caseworkers can initiate those applications. So again, we also help provide families with food insecurity with food baskets over the winter break and also spring break. And we're running our coat drive right now that provide coats for kids in the winter. This is a program, the Fred Side Leadership Academy, for our high school students. So this is a great program for students who are, again, wanting to learn some social skills. Kids come from all over the county. They come together for a 9-month program. They meet once per month, usually on a Friday, and they go out and visit different areas of the community. They go visit the county jail. They visit Sam Page's office. They go to the Missouri Capitol. So this is a great program so that kids can come back well equipped to handle some leadership positions in their school. This is teacher nominated, but also the students can apply. So we accept applications from both the teacher and the student as to why they would be a good candidate for the program. And we do interviews over in about February, March, and then we will choose the next class come this summer. So we're looking forward to seeing some more students apply from Lindbergh to us. Next slide. We also provide camp scholarships. So we understand that we don't want to interrupt the break during academic breaks. So we provide assistance to send kids to camp. That not only includes summer camp, but also winter break and spring break. So right now we're actually accepting applications for the winter holiday. And we know a lot of families just need that extra childcare. So if there is a financial need, we encourage you to apply. The parents would apply through us directly, and usually that would require 2 letters of recommendation from an educator that works with your child. So we are accepting applications for this year-round. Okay, next slide. We also provide college scholarships. So if you have a child who is college-bound, that is not it is not limited to a 4-year university. It could also be a community college, or it could be any kind of trade school where the student can obtain a certificate. These are also teacher nominated, and the students would also complete an essay and application. So we provide five $5,000 scholarships per year. And so we've got funding available for this year, and those applications are now being accepted now through the end of January. So we're looking for those people who are looking to go to post-secondary to award out those scholarships. Next slide. And so this slide just shows you in specific to Lindbergh. So last year, this is for last school year, we have helped a total of 105 students, and we have supported about $4,600 in funding through our various equipment and programs. So adaptive equipment, we did not have anyone who applied through us last year. So we do have availability for funding. Again, those are for students that are aging out of SSD this year, up to 21 years of age. Audiology, we helped one student last year. We have, again, one student who went through the last school year, and we actually have 3 students that are participating in the Autism Independence Project this school year. We have provided some funding through the Classroom Innovation Grants. We had one student in the Leadership Academy from Lindbergh last year, and we also provide some assistance to camp. So this is basically kind of how we've helped Lindbergh, but again, if the need is there, we are here, and we want you to certainly apply through us for any of these various programs if you have the need. You can go to the last slide. And I think if I have a minute or two, I'll take any questions that you may have. And if there's not any right now, if you want to email me, again, my name is Shannon at sef-stl.org.
Well, thank you so much, Shannon. Again, if anybody thinks of any questions, you want to get into contact with Shannon and you don't remember how, you're always welcome to contact me through Lindbergh Central Office or through Special School District, and I can put you in touch with Shannon. So again, thank you, Shannon, for representing that tremendous organization, the Special Education Foundation. Have a great night, Shannon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
And now for the second portion of our presentation tonight, I want to welcome LenEll Kelley. So LenEll is a board certified behavior analyst with a master's degree in applied psychology, and she has many, many other credentials as well. I'm highlighting those really to show she's here to help families tonight, really to understand a role that you might be able to take in helping your child to have a successful play date, or for our adolescents, just a really great hangout time with their friends. So welcome, LenEll.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so I was just going to kind of start by talking about, like, there is this need that wasn't there before after COVID. I think that a lot of kids feel like there was this gap that they missed with interacting with other people and getting to learn a lot of those skills at a crucial time in their development. And it really didn't matter the age of the child, they were still missing that period of development. And play dates are just such a great way to work on developing those skills, or hangouts, as older kids would probably want to refer to it as. But that's a way to kind of help build those skills and build confidence. A lot of it is about having confidence as well. So kind of going forward, I feel like that's kind of created this need where play dates in a way are even more important for families. And at the same time, they feel a little overwhelming sometimes, the idea of like planning them, where to start. So I'm hoping that maybe this can kind of share some ideas on giving you kind of like a checklist and a plan and making parents feel more confident about doing this as well. So when we talk about where to start, it's kind of what does your child need? And that can be really overwhelming too. A lot of parents know, like, hey, I know that we're missing things from that period of time, but I don't know where to start. And I don't know how to prepare to even put this into, put a plan together for them. So we'll kind of go through, like, how do you figure out where to start? And then the idea of preparing for a play date, not just for the parent, but for the child as well, because the more they're a part of planning it, the more confident they are and comfortable with what's going to happen during that time, and the more confident they become in initiating and leading a hangout or a play date. And then just kind of planning for success. You can you can put these together in a certain way so that your child is set up for success. It is for everybody to enjoy that time, but you can also be really careful about like how it's put together so that you know that your kid is benefiting from it. And then I'll talk a little bit about troubleshooting playdates. So as for our children, we're all their first relationship. So a lot of the social skills that they develop start with us. And so just helping them be part of that planning and having an open discussion about having to learn social skills or interact with other people, I think normalizes it. I think everybody has a certain amount of anxiety about social situations, especially if it's something that is novel or we're uncomfortable, and the kids just feel the same way. So choosing skills. So kind of noting, like when you notice things, just go ahead and take those observations and make a note for yourself. Parents know their children the best. And so you will find like what you notice is probably going to be invaluable. If you feel like there are strengths, you want to note those too, because the strengths are going to be how you set them up for success. And then thinking about like developmental stages and things like that. And this is where you can ask a teacher, or you could ask, or go to resources online that I'll kind of share some of those resources too, but kind of figuring out, is this what I should expect for this age? And I think that's a hard one too, especially if it's a first child. Sometimes that's harder. And then immediate needs. You know, we want to focus on the skills that are going to have the most immediate impact for them. So as you go through experiences with them, or you see them in different situations, and you think, oh, this would be so great if they had this. This would really help them a lot. This is a skill that we should work on. And then thinking about like long term, like how do we get there? And I know, like when they're younger, kind of in early elementary, everybody's friends. And then as they get older, they start to realize, oh, we have different things in common. And they start to develop closer friendships with kids that they have shared interests with. And they get the idea of like, oh, some people are acquaintances, some people are friends, some people are close friends. So when we think about our long-term goal, really, if someone's going to stay in the school they're in, it's to make friends with the kids in your school so that you have that person as kind of your partner through school, through middle school, through high school. And so that's one of the long-term goals, is we want them to form lasting friendships and learn how to do that. And then looking at what your child's interested in. We really want to make sure that as we do this, they're enjoying it. And so that's another part of setting things up for success, is that we're embedding things that we know our child also enjoys, so that there's motivation and an excitement about stretching themselves. So common skills that we hear about targeted all the time are greetings, you know, letting your guest have first choice, choosing what to play, turn taking, sharing, transitions, you know, staying together, conversation skills, play my way, play your way. And even with older kids, you see this, it just looks a little different. So turn taking is still happening in conversation when you get older. When you're playing, you know, video games that are cooperative video games, you still have all of these elements that are embedded within, even for the older kids. They just, again, look different. Compromise, you know, losing, being a good sport, and cleanup and goodbyes. And cleanup is really more important than it sounds. I think for parents, it's often important, but it's also a way of closing down an activity and signaling we're done with this before we open something up. So it also has kind of this social cue piece to it as well. Skills and needs change. So again, when they're early childhood, it is a lot about like learning to play together and learning just those play skills and starting to explore different feelings and different aspects of life. A lot of the play done in early childhood might be pretend play of real life activities. Like we're going to pretend we had a birthday, we were having a birthday party, or pretend we're going through a drive-through. And then as you get into early elementary, you see that start to change even more into role playing and specific things, and those shared interests really start to come into play. Middle elementary, the kids really start to grow. They're getting ready for, you know, being older and being more independent. And with that independence, they're letting a lot of middle and really starting to let some of the younger play types go as they move more into They may be video games, they may be more cooperative play type things, role-playing games we see like in elementary and middle school. And then in upper elementary, they're really getting ready for that transition to middle school, and they are starting to do more hangouts, and the conversations you have are so important at this point. And being able to, start learning conflict resolution, some of those really important social skills, the problem solving really is important here. And then middle school and high school, as we all know, things just get more and more complex socially as you move through school. So even though we help them at this point, it doesn't mean that they may not need more support later. So even if you have a younger child and you're starting with a play date now, you may find like this is a really good fit, and planning hangouts and kind of thinking like, do I want to be the house where everybody comes over to hang out, and what would that look like, and what kind of opportunities that open up socially for my child? So here's just some good resources. The Play and Social Skills, Google Play and Social Skills Developmental Checklist. You can just Google and you will get so many developmental checklists and developmental ideas, and you can Google it by age. Skill streaming, this is a great resource, and this is something that your school may have access to, but you can actually go to their website and look under their the books for different ages, and they list all of the skills. So if you're just like stuck on thinking, I know I need something, but I don't quite know how to put a name on or a label on what skill we need to work on, that might be a good thing to read through and look at, because you can kind of just read through these list of skills and go, yeah, that's what it would be called. That's what we need to work on. Social Rules for Kids, the top 100 social rules kids need to succeed. This is such a great book, and it breaks it all down, gives you a quick description. So it's a really great book to just kind of look through and even have a kid look through and say, oh, yeah, I want to learn about this, or I want to know how to do this. Social skills activities for kids. This is just 30 fun games and activities for building better relationships. There's just a lot of really great ideas that you can incorporate into Playdates. And then social skills for amazing kids, learning how to make friends and keep them. That's another one that is a good resource. And then just like I said, asking for teacher or the child's teacher or a school counselor for resources, because they will have lots of resources as well. So once you kind of figure out, okay, this is what I want to focus on, why Playdates? Because Playdates you're having people in your home. It is a little overwhelming. It's kind of on you to plan this, coordinate it all. There's a lot to it that as an adult makes it feel very overwhelming, but you get so much out of them. So, they're learning social skills and how to interact with each other. They can also, like I said, increase their confidence. And if they're part of planning those Playdates with you, they're so much more comfortable when they get there, and you can see the confidence that they have as the host. Learning life skills through play. A lot of our life skills, kids learn them through play. That's the part of the purpose of play. And so just the problem solving, cooperation, conflict resolution, and empathy, like learning how to have empathy for others. A lot of that is learned through play just naturally. And so you're giving them an opportunity to have a play date that's really set up for them so that they can grow in the areas they need to grow. Communication skills, kind of talking about conversations and how do you get to conversations. You got to learn how to make comments and share likes and dislikes so that you can find common interest, and reduce screen time. If kids are playing, they're not on the screen time. And I think, we go back to when I used to be a kid, we spent all this time outside playing, and what happened? And so you naturally don't have time to be on the screen if you're doing things with your friends. And then parental support. Sometimes you make amazing connections. Like one of my closest friends I met because of hosting hangouts for my child. And so that now my daughter's best friend, her mother is also one of my closest friends. So you also get a benefit of making those connections too. And it's hard as an adult, honestly, we don't really have time to make all of these friendships. So it's another way for you to find connections as well. So getting into organizing them. So the part that seems a little overwhelming. Activities should be ones your child knows really well. So when you do have the play date, make sure it's things that their areas of strength, their interest, and that you are making sure your child is able to be in their comfort zone. It doesn't mean that you won't expand interest over time, but that's something that you might think about as you talk about a friend that's over, oh, they really like this game. We should get that and try it ourselves and see if we like it. And then you can build their confidence up together when they're there with the safety of a parent, so that when you, hey, should we put this in the play date, and ask them like, all right, let's do this, so that when by the time they get to the play date, they feel a little more confident. It's something they're comfortable with, they feel like they can do. And then thinking about like what benefits your child most, like open-ended type play activities where there's like no hard ending. So it might just be, pretending or playing a video game, versus close-ended play, which is more like, oh, we built this craft project, we're done. Having a designated play space, I think that's good, as a parent, just planning for success so that people aren't roaming or in one area or in another, just kind of saying, hey, we're playing in here, or we're going to go outside later, we're going to play out there. And again, letting your child plan with you. That's really a huge key to this being a success, is that your child is part of the planning. So considering potential barriers, like how much time do you have? And then also, how much time do you think your child is ready to hang in there for? How many kids you should have? Odd numbers. Sometimes odd numbers get really tricky because two kids can kind of bond and somebody feels left out. Siblings. Sometimes siblings can be a good thing, but other times, sometimes the siblings may throw things off, or the child that having a play date, now their friend is with the sibling. And thinking about special items or toys. Sometimes there's special items or toys that a child is not going to want to share or want other people to mess with. And those are things like you might need to put those away for the play date or have a discussion about them. Playmate matches. So it's important from the beginning, I think, to start teaching a friend fit. What is a friend? So that as our kids grow and as they go through those different developmental stages into high school, we feel confident that we taught them how to select friends based on the right things. And one of the things that we first teach kids is common interests. Like that's why you enjoy spending time with someone. You're looking for someone that has common interest in you. And then, talking about the other values that you feel like you want them to look for, whether it's, is this person kind to you and others? Does this person, ask to spend time with you? So really thinking about from the beginning, building that in, because the purpose of a play date is not just to have fun, but to build those social skills and actually build relationships. Don't judge on one experience, because, everybody can have a bad day. And so if you have a playmate over or you have someone over for a play date or a hangout and it wasn't a perfect fit the first time, give them another chance, because they may be going through the same thing and being a little uneasy with being in someone's home, or having to adjust to someone else's space and ideas. And then looking at significant differences in parenting styles is something that I would say consider too. I think it makes it easier for kids to come together if the parents feel like they have some commonality and some common parenting ideas. And then behavioral challenges, what kind of behaviors need to be addressed? Are there some, does your child get overwhelmed and need to take a break? And how do you incorporate that in a way that it's natural and it feels right for your child? Or if another child comes in and needs that, how do you incorporate those things so that the kids still have a good time and are able to have a break if they need it? So some things to notice when you're looking and kind of guiding friend fit is if one child is leading too much, and that might be where you come in as the parent and just kind of readjust the dynamic a little bit. And often that means letting someone else have control of materials. Balanced skills. When you're looking at friendships, do they have balanced skills? Are they good for each other? Do you think that this is a good friend fit and that they'll be learning from each other? Strengths and weaknesses. It's going to be a really good thing to have a mixture of those, because your child's strengths may be perfect for another child to work on skills they need, and vice versa. And do they complement each other? Do you feel like they're a pretty good fit and complement and maybe affect or their energy level, that sort of thing? And then common interest. Then good model. Do you feel like that person will be a good model? So there's a lot of guiding you can do as you start to teach your child, like, oh, we're going to invite someone over. Who do you think would be fun to invite over? Who do you have things in common with? Finding a playmate. This is also sometimes feels a little hard. Like, how do I find the right person, or how am I going to invite these people? So ask your child, because they will probably tell you somebody that they think is cool, or has something cool, or has done something cool at school. And then ask your child's teacher, because they, have their eye on the kids. They know who's maybe spending more time together, or maybe they have an idea of who has common interest, even if the kids don't yet. And discuss the choosing friends. I think it's really important that kids learn that, especially as you think of, again, this long-term planning, that you choose your friends. Your friends don't have to pick you. And I think that is something that goes a long way for child's self-esteem, especially as they get older. Kids, as they get older, they change groups. And sometimes somebody that was your friend no longer is, because they're involved in all these different activities, or doing these different things. And you don't want your child to have the sense that they weren't chosen or they were left behind, but that they have the right to choose who's a good match for them based on the values and the things you're teaching them, defining a good friend fit. And playdates are a really great time to do that, because you can talk about, like, who should we invite? Why should we invite them? And the other is be a social detective, which I tell the kids too, but also good for the parents, and that you can, get there early for pickup or volunteer, and just start looking. Like, do you notice kids in the class that, you see somebody that has a Pokemon shirt on, and oh, my kid's really into Pokemon. Just kind of like looking to see, like, there may be a connection that your child isn't aware of yet. So location considerations. So these are probably the 4 top ones. So your home, going someplace, a destination, like a park, something like that, their home, or event spaces. And that would be more like, Magic House, or the Science Center, or Main Event, something like that. When you're starting these out and you want to set a child up for success, your home is probably the best location. And that's probably sometimes not always what parents want to hear, because that means, in a way, more work, because you have to host it. But you're able to really plan it out and plan it with your child, and control a lot of variables that can make initial meetings and initial getting to know each other time hard. It's very hard, going someplace like Chuck E. Cheese and corralling everyone long enough to actually start to play together and have a meaningful conversation for an extended period of time, because so much of that place is go and do and games and running around, which is a great form of play, but it doesn't necessarily allow for the same type of bonding and really getting to work on some of those more intense social emotional skills as we develop relationships. Their home, that I think that's great if you have a few times under your belt, or your child's comfortable, because then if your child hasn't quite gained their confidence on some of the skills that they need to work on, just like all of us, if we're in a new environment, everything seems harder. And then event spaces, those can be a little chaotic as well. And sometimes, a park, though, sometimes you can make something like a destination to a park work out really well if you bring things with you and your child's comfortable with that park. And it's kind of a more set area, not so much space where you can lose each other. So there's some things to think about when you think about the location considerations and where you should start. So planning guide, have a plan of activities, and I'll show you a couple of different ideas on what it looks like across ages. Incorporate different types of play. So you want to start where your child's comfortable, but obviously we want them to grow through this and kind of start thinking about, oh, your friend like this, or your friend said they like this. Maybe we can add that in next time, or what do you want to add in? Like, you can do your choice, your friend's choice. What do you think you would add in for your friend? What do they like? And so that there's this kind of planning ahead of time to be ready for that and to increase that flexibility. Then starting and end with a connecting activity. I feel like it's really good to start with something that's that's more sedentary or a more person-focused activity. So if it's a younger child, it might be something as simple as like sharing a handheld pop rocket. Oh, it's my turn, it's your turn. We're connecting to each other and I need that to have my turn to play. So therefore I need you. And with an older kid, it might just be something as simple as like, oh, let's play, guess in 10 game or something like that. So I think that there's a lot of different ways you can look at that, but the idea is that there's not too much stuff involved, that those activities really need people to do them. Always include a snack, and I'll talk more about snack, but snack is so great because everybody's already at the table. You really are right there ready to talk. Flexibility, even though you plan something out, it never goes the way you plan it. That's just going to be part of it. So trying to be flexible and teaching your child that flexibility too. And I'll talk about when you plan, always have a plan B or a backup activity that you and your child, we're going to have this activity just in case we need to switch up. Or if somebody doesn't like one of the activities we picked out, we'll have a backup activity. And then you start building in that flexibility with it. And then the time of the activities. Again, it kind of goes back to how long they can stay engaged in activity, how long the play date needs to be, and how long is too long for your kid. So at snack, emotional regulation skills, definitely at snack. For one thing, it allows you to have a break kind of from everything, get a little food, recharge. And it also can be something where you have so many opportunities for discussion and sharing. And one of the things that's great is strategically placing things. So in this picture here, they're decorating cookies. But if you have like sprinkles on one side of the table and you have, edible paint markers on another side of the table, and you have the star cookies over here and the circle cookies over there, then the kids have to talk to each other. Can I have that? Oh, I want to try that. Pass me those sprinkles. And then you naturally have conversations started versus like, here's our table topic. It's just a very natural way for them to start talking and like, I like this color. This is my favorite. Or I like the shiny sparkles better. And then you start getting into like, there's some likes and dislikes that are happening now too. So it's a really great way to get conversation going. When they get older, if they want to and they're ready for that, they have so many cool conversation cards that you can buy now, or you can just make your own. So as they get older, they may want to add that into it as well. Planning for success. So when you start out, I usually say like, think about where your kid is, but a 45 to 60-minute play date should look something like this. So this is just a general example for a younger child. So that warm activity, just a simple action toy, a play activity, a snack activity, another play activity, and a wrap up. But you can see like we're rotating out different types of play. And obviously you would insert, like I said, maybe the handheld pop rockets here. Or for maybe it's bubbles. This could be a closed-ended play activity, might be like, hey, we're going to play a board game, or it could be we're going to make a craft. A shared activity like the snack, that would be set up so it's always set up to be some sort of shared thing. And sometimes it's recipe making, like, we're all going to make trail mix together, and everybody has some of the ingredients and they all decide how much they want to add in and what it's going to be like. And then a gross motor play for kids that need to get up and move. And most kids, even older kids, like just sitting there too long and being sedentary, they need to get up and move a little bit. So they might have some sort of gross motor play activity. So if it's a little kid, it might be something like, playing a ball game or playing tag. Or for an older kid, it might be something more like, let's go shoot this model rocket I just got, Or it could be, something with sports. So maybe your child's into soccer. We'll play a quick game of like kicking the ball back and forth to the goals. And then the wrap up should be some sort of quick social game, something or social interaction where they have a moment just to reconnect. The wrap up's really important because it leads into your goodbye, and you want your child, with all of the kids, really to be present for that, because that's their last impression of what that play date was like. And it's also that chance to say, hey, can we do this again? Or, hey, we should do this. So we do want everybody to be present so we don't miss those social opportunities that come with saying goodbye. The other thing is plan for expanding time. So again, we kind of talked about this. You spend some time with your child working on new skills and things that they might be interesting that other kids are also interested in. And it's easy as a parent to find out what other kids are interested in if you're inviting them over to your house and you're just kind of listening in. And then having your child pick the activities out for you. repeat play dates so they learn each other, and then brainstorming, like to set up your child for success. Like, what needs to go here? Do we need to start with a movement activity? Do we need to start with like a closed-ended activity, a board game or something? Is that a better way to start? Like, what's going to be best to build up your child's confidence and kind of ease them into that play date too? And then the other planning outlines I have, just so you can look at them for other ages. So this is more like early childhood, early elementary. So I kind of have it divided where you would just kind of have your play types list. Sometimes that's good to write down everything your child prefers, just so you kind of have a bank to pull from at the top. And then 45 minutes, like these are just ideas that you can plug in and what they would look like and what you would add in to gradually expand activity as your child became more and more comfortable with it. Then when we're looking at older kids, we really want them to be way more involved in the planning because they don't necessarily like what adults suggest anyway. So it's always better if they're picking out. So this is one that would be more for older kids. And this one you might start with an icebreaker activity, then kind of have a chill out activity, and then maybe a video game. But the thing with the video games, if you really want to take advantage of building the social emotional skills, is make sure they're cooperative play, like the Jackbox games. A lot of those are cooperative play. Just making sure that they're not just taking turns playing on their own. That leads into a lot of things like somebody taking too long, or they need to finish the level before anyone else can play, and it starts to divide rather than bring everybody together. And then having that backup activity. So these are things that I talk to kids like, well, hey, if you're going to plan this, what do you want your theme to be? Let's come up with if you want a theme, you can come up with a theme. And then where do you want to have this? Who will you invite? So these are questions that I really talk out with kids because I feel like I want them to have ownership of this, and I want them to lead it. That's where they're moving. They're becoming more independent as they get into upper elementary and on. And then I just have some example activities in this handout. So because with older kids, they look very different. So icebreaker activities could be the chameleon game, anarchy pancakes, truth or lie, outdoor activities, capture the flag, soccer, paint bomb tag, geocaching, music jam session, or if you're into something creative, you can always have an art paint night or something like that. Board games that are, popular. Crafting, cooking, baking. Some kids really like to cook and really enjoy doing that. Treasure hunts, scavenger hunts, DIY experiments, and what we call IRL games, in real life games. So you can turn Among Us into a real life game, and basically you have a chore list and the kids go and get all the chores done while they're playing this game. That one always cracks me up because the kids are always like, what else can we do? And you're like, making more list. You can play in real life Clue around the house and use the rooms in the house. Just a lot of different things that you can make around the house and make movement games. So those are just some examples of kind of taking it from early elementary on through older ages. So practicing ahead of time, some kids like to do run-throughs ahead of time. If you have a kid that needs to build up their confidence, I think that's a really great way to do. Like, hey, let's just do a quick run-through. Let's make sure we have everything down like we want it. This is also time sometimes we could talk about manners and hosting and what you do, like who gets to go first, when you have someone over. This book I love, and she has a great podcast. If you're into podcasts, she has so many wonderful ideas out there. I just named some of the ones that I really like, but she has a great book out where it will give you a lot of information on just like how to set up play dates and build those connections. And then supporting success. So role play before the play date, we kind of talked about that. And I did try to write a lot of little notes on the slides, just so that you would have those for reference too. Modeling and practicing. And sometimes it's taking turns when you role play, like, okay, you be the guest, and then next time, okay, I'm going to pretend like I'm the guest, you answer the door, and kind of start it that way. So you're really starting to see some perspective taking and empathy and understanding of like, oh, other people are nervous about social things too. And one thing that I really try to do when I role play is I try to look at what that child might need to build, and I will make a mistake there, because the first thing is kind of being aware that that is a social need or a social skill. And they like so much to correct adults that it works really well. So it's just a way to kind of open that awareness without putting them on the spot. It's also nice too, because as a parent, you're going to be way more forgiving sometimes than a peer will be. And so it's a gentle way to kind of ease them in and build up their confidence. And these are just some suggestions for things that you can role play. And then parents' role. So facilitating versus mediating. We don't want to be a play partner. We want to facilitate the interaction between them. So monitor interactions in the time, guide but don't tell. So like, hey, you know what? We have that really delicious snack in there, guys. Let me know when you're done, versus saying, okay, you're done with this. We're going on to the next thing. And that way you can kind of be a little more fluid, and the kids go, oh yeah, I do want to get a snack. Let's finish this real quick and do this. And then it's more, again, the kids leading it than the parents leading it. Don't play with them, just kind of offer materials. And sometimes I will set back materials so I can kind of help, just in case I need to help facilitate things. So say they're building something, I might keep some really cool pieces back that I know would go well with that play set. And then hand them out and to certain kids, like if I know one kid really needs to be in the middle of it, I might give them a highly desired item, because all of a sudden now they want that kid's interaction. The other thing is just providing lots of choices to them. Like, we could do this or this. What do you guys think? Really, again, putting the play date in their hands to drive it while you guide the direction. And thinking of hints, like indirect supports are really a great thing to do. So like if they're having trouble working something else, like, oh, you know what, you guys could just do rock, paper, scissors maybe to figure that out. And then you're not telling them exactly what to do, but you're kind of like giving them like, oh, here's a little suggestion, do with it what you will. Secret signals, if your kid does need support and they are going to feel better, have your child come up with a secret signal. So it can be anything, and kids love to come up with crazy signals. So if they give you a signal, like, or whatever their signal is, or, kind of work it out ahead of time, and then to kind of help them out there. And maybe that means I need a break for a moment. And so it could just be, that's your cue to say, oh, hey, can you help me in the kitchen for a second? Or, hey, I forgot to do something. I need your help. And that way we're not putting them on the spot in front of their friends, but we have a subtle way to kind of help support them. And they have a signal that they're giving us so that we know, or a secret word, however they want to do it. Secret message by phone. Sometimes I will use this tactic. It just looks like you're being goofy with the kids. Like you just show a GIF on your phone, and I don't know what it is, but a kid will notice a device anywhere you put it, versus trying to gain their eye contact and send them a signal. But this is one that I use for like being an interrupting chicken and not letting your friends have a turn in conversation, or just put it on there. It was a funny thing. The kid picked it out, loved it. And so it was something that didn't add pressure. It added a little humor, but it gave them a little reminder. So you can do some things like that too. When your child needs support, again, don't correct in front of peers unless necessary. Use hints. Create a natural reason to take a break away. Kind of, help send them back in, regroup, and send them back in with a plan so they feel more confident going back in. Recaps afterward, like just asking them what was the best part, what was the most challenging, so you have more information to set them up for success next time. Connecting to friends. So planning really supports this, and having them plan means they have to think about what their friends like and who they want to have there and who would like to do this, and start really trying to teach those social detective skills that I talked about earlier. This is a really great way to do it, because if they're planning with you, they have to be the ones thinking about it. Play themes. So again, we talked about like really keep expanding those different types of play themes so that they are set up and are able to feel comfortable playing things that other people like to play. We want them to have shared experiences. That's part of developing relationships and having this common interest. And play themes can be really important to cooperative play. When you have a theme, there's kind of this, connection and this things that you can add to it, but you can kind of expand that web so it's related things as well. So you're really teaching some flexible thinking and opening yourself up to some new ideas. These are just some ideas, like building a theme. Like what would we think about? Like, what are the things that we might need to think about? as far as like what our kids need. Like, do they know the logical sequence of events? You could suggest that. You can practice it ahead of time if that's hard. You can take turns adding changes to play if that's hard in role play before the kids even get there, so they kind of understand that that's an expectation. These are just some theme ideas that I put in here just so you'd have some ideas across different ages, what might make for a good theme. Flexibility, we talked a little bit about this, but a lot of this is that compromise, that taking turns with referred activities. I mean, I see with older kids with video games even, like, no, it's my turn. No, it's my turn, you know. So it's not a skill that really goes away. It's just one that gets a little more complex. Activities that really build good flexibility are cooperative games, cooperative activities. There are so many brands out there now that make cooperative games. Peaceful Kingdom, Game Right. Game Right makes some for the older kids. Role-playing games are huge with social skills, and they've really gained a lot of popularity. You'll see like a lot of the bookstores host them and things like that, but they're wonderful ways to teach social skills and develop cooperation. So important of goodbye. So I talked about this before, like that's your last time, that's your last impression of the time together. And we really just want to acknowledge that connection and that interaction and reinforce any positive social things like, I just thought it was so great when you guys were both doing whatever, you know, X, whatever it is I liked. I loved how you guys built that rocket together. That was the coolest rocket. It was so tall. And then it sets up that possibility for next time. So those are really important, that goodbye time, not just to rush out, but to really try to make sure that there is a connection before. So some troubleshooting ideas, overall strategies, everybody freeze. That's always a quick one. Kind of regroup. Let's all take a break. If you water break, sometimes that's good to move the snack. If everybody just needs a break and we're having trouble with this activity, let's just have snack. Humor always works well. Switching activities. Sometimes you just need to switch activities and tell both the kids or all the kids in the play date, like, hey guys, we're going to have to wind this one down because we're losing sunlight. We got to get out there and do this. It's going to be so cool. And just kind of get them to switch so we can get out of a situation we might be stuck in. Time warnings. Hey guys, we got 5 more minutes before we got to start wrapping up the play date. And your very last resort would be to insert yourself in the play and kind of say, okay, cool. This is not what we're doing. This is how we're doing it, and model it. Common hangout hurdles like refusal to leave a parent, silent treatment, watching but not engaging, refusing every activity, keep leaving the room, asked or goes to another room, or someone starts crying. Those are things that happen in hangouts and play dates. But, the things that we can do are like teaching calming strategies to your child, and what we call forced choices. Like, hey, guys, we can't play this anymore, but you can play X or Y, so that we're taking away this situation, but at least we're offering a choice of options. Transition spaces, sometimes like certain, like maybe a playroom is just too big, and it's just kind of like the play date has just spread out everywhere. And so sometimes it's good to get them back together so they're connecting to each other just to change to a different room. When people shut down, opening a new activity, but where adult might have control of the materials initially, like they get it started and back themselves out of it. Sometimes kids are more comfortable with adult starts it versus the other kids starting it. And responding to negative language, start an activity and just have fun and don't pressure them to join. Like let them join on there, just make sure it looks really fun, but not pressuring them to play, but just making it such a good time. Like, hey, whenever you're ready, just let us know we've saved you a spot, and just keep going. Talked about offering snack early, shift materials, that can be just moving quietly, surreptitiously, moving materials so that maybe one person who's not getting enough interaction or pulled in enough has some really good stuff so that they are more needed. And then making suggestions like, oh, yeah, you know what, you guys could, if you all work together, I bet you guys could make that even taller, or you could even add this on. Independent problem solving. Count to 5 if there's a conflict, because give them an opportunity to solve it. I think that's how they develop that problem solving. They need that opportunity. It's hard because it sometimes can be a little nerve-wracking. Those 5 seconds can feel nerve-wracking. But we want to let them start to learn ways, and then making suggestions like, well, how do you guys think you can solve this? And then it might be like, well, you could just compromise, or you could use a rock, paper, scissors, or thumb war, or something like that, and kind of get them to encourage them to start thinking through it. And this is just like when your child needs more support, like giving them a concrete solution, or letting the person know too. If you need to let another person know, like, hey, we love coming over to play, but we're really struggling saying goodbye. We're going to try a new plan next time. And that way, it's not this uncomfortable thing. If there's something that does go wrong, or somebody does need support, it's kind of brought up in a very solution-oriented way. These are just some additional resources. The Encourage Play website. This is parenting. It's about handling a bad play date, like fights, fighting more. It's a really good article that goes into some of the nitty-gritty stuff that sometimes people come across. And then how to mend a play date gone wrong. I put this one in here because it has just really good solution-oriented suggestions and really great suggested language to use. And that is, I think I covered all those slides. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Did it again. LenEll, that was tremendous. I can only wish that I had seen this presentation a couple of decades ago when my now 30-something-year-old kids were kind of going through all of that.
Yeah.
I am so sure how much our families and our students will really benefit from that guidance that you just shared.
Well, I definitely used it with my kid, and I think it made, I know it's hard work for parents to host, but it made such a difference for my child that it was so worth it.
I'm sure. So for families who are out there, if you know other people that you think would benefit from this, or you just want to rewatch it, we, as you know, Beth recorded this for us tonight. And so this will be posted on the Lindbergh YouTube website. And I'll send a link to that in my next director's newsletter, which will be coming out later this month. And I'll also give a little bit more information on our next LPAC presentation, which will be in February. And that topic will be your child's mental healthiness. So again, LenEll, I really appreciate your presentation, everybody who joined us tonight. On behalf of the Lindbergh School District and the Special School District, and apparently my dog in the background that you might be hearing right now, I am so happy you joined us, and I want to wish you all a healthy and happy holiday season. Good night.
Good night.